All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Dave's R&R Rambles and Reviews. Your host here, Dave. It feels like almost a reboot here. Like season two, season one was like a sitcom where it has like a couple episodes to start, then season two goes strong, and this is the start of season two. I feel like here. Thank you for your patience these past couple weeks. I had my wedding, I had my honeymoon, everything went great with that. So that took up a lot of my time. I didn't really get the time to podcast, but we are here, and today we'll be going over week four of the NFL. I'm going to be talking about a couple bets that I have. I'm going to be talking about maybe my favorite underdog of the week. We're going to look at the primetime games. And, we're just going to have a full slate of bets here. I want a big sheet at the end of the year of bets to see how we do on the show. And I'm going to talk about my Survivor pick of the week. A lot of people who do Survivor, it's almost as fun as just betting the games. It's usually a bigger pot at the end. So we're going to talk about Survivor towards the end of the podcast. So some of my best bets for the week, I'll go over three fairly quickly. I'm sure there's a lot of crossover here between Fade or Follow. Fade or Follow should be coming out soon, so you can get into more details there. But my three picks I gave out on that. We've got the game in London Sunday morning. I've got the Vikings to cover the 3-point spread. The line's moved against me. It was at plus 100 when I said it before. It's now plus 105. So clearly the money's coming in on the Saints. I still like the Vikings, though. I think the Saints are a dumpster fire this year, and the Vikings should have a very solid chance in this game. It's in London. Everything gets a little wonky over there. So I'm just going to take the Vikings to cover the spread and hoping to start that day with a nice win before it hits noon. Then my Baltimore Ravens have a big game against the Buffalo Bills. This should really be a primetime game, but the primetime games are pretty awesome this week. But, this is the best of the best in the AFC. Those two teams and the Chiefs are the top tier. And the Ravens, they're underdogs in this one. So I'm staying away from the spread in that. I'm going with the Bills and Ravens over 51 points. This should be the highest scoring game of the weekend. If you see any sort of prop out there for the highest scoring game, dabble on that because it has to be the highest scoring game. You've got Lamar Jackson, who's outscored every single team in the NFL besides the Lions, which is pretty surprising in itself. And the Bills, who are going to be looking to bounce back against a very mediocre effort against the Dolphins. So I think they're going to light up the boards here. I love 51 over in that. And then for the third pick I gave out on that show, I've got the Broncos and Raiders under 45.5. Two teams that had high potential coming into the year that have sort of underperformed at this point. Russ isn't really cooking in the Broncos like people thought he would, and the Raiders with Devontae Adams have certainly been disappointing. I think the Broncos defense is legit enough to not let the Raiders turn up this game. This isn't going to be a turning point for the Raiders here just because that Broncos defense is so good. And I still think it's going to take Russ a while to cook, if he even starts cooking this year. So I'm going to take the under 45.5 in that game. So those were the three picks I gave out on Fade or Follow. Listen to that for even more details on that. My buddies Zach and Ty also have some picks. They put some good ones out this week, so be sure to tune into that, get that crossover going. For this podcast exclusively, though, I want to talk about a couple more here. I want to talk about my underdog of the week. Going into this week, a lot could happen. There's going to be a lot of close games out there. So the underdog I'm picking this week, and I don't even know if you can really consider it an underdog since it's plus 100, but I do not understand how the Cardinals are underdogs in this one. I mean, the Panthers, Baker Mayfield last in the NFL in QBR this year, just playing absolutely terrible. The receivers are struggling because of it. Christian McCaffrey can't really get too much going. I think the Cardinals can come in and win that one easily. It's going to be a rainy day out there, so even look at the under in that one, 43.5, which actually I'm going to put that on this podcast as well. Give me the under 43.5 in Panthers Cardinals, just because the potential of rain, and a lot of people think it's going to rain because the tickets are down to practically $30 for that game. It's crazy. Both teams are not good right now, so I like the under 43 in that. Give me the Cardinals at even money. I also like the Broncos as an underdog pick this week too. I said their defense is legit. The defense is going to carry them to like a 13 to 7 win or something like that. So I really like the Broncos at plus 125 as well. So there's 3 more picks. And let's go with 2 more here. The primetime games, Sunday Night Football. Chiefs against the Buccaneers. Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. To the GOAT versus someone who a lot of people think is the next GOAT. Mahomes is still doing work this year even without Tyreek Hill. Brady's been struggling a lot. I think that has more to do so with how hurt his receivers have been. And I think when they're fully healthy, they'll get back to normal. But for right now, give me Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs at minus 115. I think they go in there and win this one. It's not really a home game for Tampa Bay anymore because of the hurricane. So I'd like the Chiefs to win that one. And then our Monday Night Football game. The Los Angeles Rams against the San Francisco 49ers. And this line's actually even changed since I looked at it last night. The Rams are underdogs at plus 100. Give me the Rams here as well. I hate that I keep going with the road team, but Jimmy G can't lead the 49ers against the Rams. It's going to be a low-scoring game, I think. Stafford has been struggling this year, ever since the news came out of that off-season surgery he had on his shoulder. But I just don't see how the 49ers can beat the Rams. The Rams went 3-0 against the 49ers last year. I think that continues this year, so I'm taking the Rams money line at plus 100. That's 8 big picks on the board this week, so we're definitely going big on the podcast here. I want at least 5 picks a week, and we're starting with 8 here. Maybe one week we'll bet every game, who knows, but for now we're going with the 3 from Fade or Follow. Vikings minus 3, Bills and Ravens over 51, and then the Raiders and Broncos under 45.5. And then we're also dabbling with some underdogs. We've got the Cardinals at plus 100 and the Broncos at plus 125. We're also going to take the under in that Cardinals and Panthers game at 43.5. And then we're taking the Chiefs minus 115 and the Rams plus 100 against the 49ers. And before I let y'all go, I also want to talk about the pick I'm going with this week in my Survivor pool at the moment. If you don't play Survivor or don't really know what it is, essentially you start the season, week 1 you pick one team you think's going to win a game. If they win, you go on. If you lose, you're out. Or some leagues like mine have 2 strikes. The kicker is you can't use the same team more than once. So say week 1, you use the Chiefs, you're done with them. Week 2, you use the Eagles, you're done with them. You're done with a team after you use them. Week 4 presents a couple interesting options to me. There's a lot of close games, and this year it looks like across the board it's going to be a very tight schedule. There's 2 that really stuck out to me this week. The Packers against the Patriots, and the Chargers going to the Texans. And I'm rolling with the Packers this week. I still have them on my board. Some people used them before, so not everybody can use them. If you're alive and have the Packers, I recommend using them this week. Mac Jones, super questionable going into this game. It looks like it's going to be Brian Hoyer starting. This is one of the ones where I'm willing to admit if I look at it afterwards and the Patriots win like 13-3 or something, I'll be like, of course, because it's the Patriots. But I truly think Aaron Rodgers is going to lead him to victory this week, especially after beating the Bucs on the road last week. And looking at the Packers' schedule, really the only other time that I'd be super confident in them is week 6 against the Jets. And just how crazy Survivor is this year, you probably just want to front load teams you're most confident in. I know it's hard not to look super ahead, but I mean, I'm in a 2-strike league. We're 3 weeks in, and over 50% of the people have been eliminated. I've never seen anything like it. This year's been absolutely crazy. So I'm riding with that Packers and against the Patriots pick. If you have used the Packers, I'd probably throw a dart at the Chargers if you have them, just because they're playing the Texans. It's an away game, and I really hate to use away teams, even though I've done it a couple times this year, just based off how the boards looked. But the Texans are nothing special. I think the Chargers, they really need to get in the positives here, at least get to that 2-2. The spread is 5 in that game. It's the 3rd highest this week. The Eagles are in between there against the Jaguars, but the Jaguars have been heating up. I don't want to use the Eagles against the Jaguars when they've got some games coming up later in the year. They've got the Texans coming up. They play the Commanders again. I think they beat the Bears later in the season. I think they can beat the Giants both times they play them. There's just a lot more opportunity to use the Eagles down the road than this week. So sum it all up, use the Packers if you've got them. If you don't, use the Chargers. Save the Eagles for later in the season. I know they're considered one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now, so it's tempting against the Jaguars. But the Jaguars have been looking all right this year. Trevor Lawrence is looking to have that year two breakout. So just roll with the Pack this week. And that's going to be it for our Week 4 NFL preview. I'm hoping to do an NFL preview every week, kind of going over Survivor, going over some bets. Maybe we'll look at some fantasy perspective of it too in the following weeks. Maybe just some pick'em games straight up. But that's what I've got for this week. I'm hoping to turn out more content. You know, we have a bunch of movies coming out soon. The new Halloween, Black Adam coming out. October's looking like a good month for movies. And soon I'm going to be reviewing the resort I went to for my honeymoon. I'm going to do a little travel review here, something new. We're kind of kicking off what I'd like to call season 2, the reboot of Dave's R&R. Now that I have a little more time on my hand, I'm hoping to churn out the more content. And like I said, thank you for your patience and support. Follow on all social media, Twitter, Instagram, at Dave's R&R. Yeah, I'm going to be trying to churn out more content there as well. Big news this past week with Deadpool 3 being announced. I might have some takes on that. Just stay tuned, follow, and have a great weekend. Anyone who's affected by the hurricane, stay safe. We'll all be praying for y'all, and just take it easy, everybody.